Hello, everybody. Welcome to the second episode of the HLH podcast. I'm Hakeem.
Kobler.
Thank you guys for tuning in again, and thank everyone who's listened to the first episode. We're really enjoying this process, and I want to thank Jake for taking care of all the technical issues and for getting this out there to you guys. I'm really glad he's here with me.
It's a pain in the ass.
Alright, so before we start the review, we're actually going to do some news that's come out recently. First piece of news, Jake, why don't you go ahead and take it?
Alright, this actually is close to home for me. A friend of mine and I had tickets to go see Kanye in Colombia. And Hakeem, the other day, we actually, it was the day before we started the first episode, we met to kind of talk the idea over. And he was like, dude, he said, all this Trump controversy with Kanye, you'll be lucky to get a full show. And I was like, no, he'll be there. We'll have a show. And then 2 days later, a friend of mine calls and says, hey, no Kanye, he canceled it. And then the next morning I wake up and he's in the hospital. Yep. So this from Hot New Hip Hop said that Kanye's West's release from the hospital is postponed. They said that he will have a release date at a later time. They have not given a time frame for that.
Did you also hear that because of his mental health, the insurance might have to pay Kanye $30 million?
That's insane.
I hope for his sake he's all right. But I mean, if I were Kanye and I finessed the fuck out of fans, charging, I mean, how much did you guys pay for tickets? Like $100? Our
tickets were $100, but they were lower level, like they weren't shitty seats.
That's horseshit either way. I mean, he upcharges everything, talking about new slaves and all that shit. I hope for his sake that he gets the money, I guess. I mean, he finesses fans out of a full show and he gets $30 million.
But we did get our money back.
You guys did get your money back, yeah, that's true, which I'm glad that happened. But does he deserve $30 million for having a mental breakdown? I feel like that should be assumed out of Kanye at this point. Did we not hear the press run that he had going before Yeezus came out?
Yeah.
He was going nuts before Yeezus came out, talking about Nike's against him, all the corporations are against him. And make me pick the cotton. I love that album, though, by the way. I'm hoping for a Yeezus 2, by the way.
That'll never happen.
No. It's going to happen.
It's on the shelf with Detox. All right, we're going to move on from...
All right.
DJ Khaled's Major Key went gold today.
He's got his own Champ store now, too.
I saw that.
Shout out to Khaled.
Mos Def announces a final album. It's going to be entitled December 99th.
All right.
Looking forward to that.
Be cool.
I know when you walked in tonight to do this, you talked about Lil Wayne's project Funeral coming soon. Yeah,
Lil Wayne's got a new project coming out called Funeral, and apparently some news about his situation with Cash Money. I'm really hoping for some new music from him. If it's coming out under the Cash Money label, though, I think it's going to be underwhelming because I think it's going to be kind of half-assed. You know what I mean? Because he's just going to be pushing it out.
What I'm reading here says that... He said that he does not have a release date yet.
Right.
He said, but I have a whole bunch of news coming soon.
Yeah.
And that's a quote from him.
Yeah, he did an interview recently. I don't know with who.
The 9 Club is what it says here.
The 9 Club, okay. All right, cool. I'm hopeful for it, though. He's been shouting out Rockefeller a lot, even though everybody knows from the past that Jay-Z and Lil Wayne have had some kind of interesting history about that. He refused to sign with Jay-Z.
Yeah.
So I don't think he'll get that, and also I think Birdman has a very tight noose around Lil Wayne's contract. I don't think anybody
and his creativity
but I don't think he was being that creative after C3, to be honest. But again, I said Lil Wayne got me into this genre, and I still have faith that he can put out good music.
Well, hopefully it'll come out when he actually says it'll come out.
Yeah. God bless.
Carter 4 all over again.
CFO to defo.
Finally, I'm just going to say something funny here in the hip-hop news. The other day I was on Twitter, I saw that Tyga got served some papers, some court papers as he was walking into his birthday bash. Come to find out they were for missed Ferrari payments. So it looks like Kylie's still not paying the bills. So today we're going to be reviewing the Weeknd's album, Starboy.
Yes.
Is his is that his third mainstream album?
Yeah,
His
he's got Trilogy, which was just a bunch of mixtapes that have come out before it, and then he's got Kiss Land, Beauty Behind the Madness, and Starboy. So yeah, technically almost fourth if you count the Trilogy.
3.5.
3.5. Yeah, that's good. I was kind of excited about this after I heard Starboy. I didn't listen to False Alarm when it came out because I think after I heard Starboy, I was like, okay, I don't want to hear any more until I get the full project because I wanna get a feeling for artists like The Weeknd. He's gonna create a whole atmosphere with his albums. So I was anticipating the release.
I mentioned when we were talking before. I didn't even know he was having an album until I think it was a Sunday. I was done watching football and Fallon came on, and he was on Fallon, and he did Starboy and False Alarm, an abbreviated performance of both songs. So that's how I realized he was doing another album.
Yeah. I saw on Apple Music when he had put out Starboy, I saw like the cover art for the album. Starboy the song, then saw the cover art for the album.
I thought it almost looked like a graphic novel cover. Mm-hmm. The colors and the way it almost looked hand-drawn. Didn't look like an actual picture. It kind of looked animated.
It's funny you say that because he's talking about doing a graphic novel associated with the album. I'm hoping that comes out. I'm a huge comic book fan. Just went out and bought some today actually. But yeah, he was talking about doing that, so it's pretty cool that you said that. I think it's the color scheme too.
Yeah,
that color scheme is dope.
It's kind of a little bit like the Incredible True Story.
Yeah,
the color scheme and the way the words go across the top, and I think Logic's colors were yellow in the words too. But
that's another very cool album cover and concept. Whether or not you think it was delivered well. That's a great conceptual album. The Incredible True Story by Logic. If you haven't listened to it, definitely go check it out. He's a great artist. Let's dive right in, Jake.
All right.
Tell me your first impressions of the album.
Well, my first impression obviously was when I saw him on Fallon. Image change. A friend of mine is a huge Weeknd fan. She has a Weeknd phone case. Everybody at work makes fun of her for it. But I saw him out in Fallon's introducing The Weeknd, performing singles off his new album Starboy, and I was like, I saw him. There was this light on him. I'm thinking, well, when's he gonna come out? Then I realized, oh God, that's him. He cut his hair. So I took a picture and sent it to her. I was like, what did he do? He cut his hair. So an image change, obviously. We all know when an artist kind of changes up their image, the album is going to be different and hopefully good. Like we saw with J. Cole, he looked homeless. Then he puts out 2014 Forest Hills Drive. So that was my first impression. I was like, oh, this is going to be cool. I'm really excited to listen to it. I wasn't super excited to listen to Beauty when it came out last year. So I was very excited when it came out. And I did like all the singles he put out for it.
Yeah. But you thought False Alarm was kind of underwhelming, though.
I like the verses. I don't like the hook.
False Alarm!
It sounds like it sounds like something that would have been on Kid Cudi's last album, the rock album. I didn't like the hook. But the verses were very cool.
I like the hook. I like that song in general, actually. I don't know, for some reason, this is definitely a drive around album or a party album. This is something that if you got good sound system or if you got a party that you want to get started, you could definitely play this. These first 3 songs especially are high energy and they get you going.
Then it slows down. Secrets through.
Yeah.
The Stargirl interlude is kind of mellow. Oh, it picks back up with Sidewalks, and then 6 Feet Under is a pretty hardcore. The beats.
Don't skip over that trash interlude. Tell me you like that interlude.
I like Lana Del Rey. He did not like the interlude because the Lana Del Rey vocals were not traditional.
What is she doing? What was she doing? They did a song together on Beauty Behind the Madness. I remember. I hadn't listened to Beauty Behind the Madness when it came out, but I went back and listened to it just because I wanted to see how much different it was. And I like the song with them together, so I know they had a rapport, but that interlude is garbage. I don't know how else to say it.
All right.
If I skip over anything, it's always that interlude. And I love Lana Del Rey. Ultraviolence, I have a physical copy of, and I have her 2 previous albums before that. She's a great artist. I think sometimes she relies too much on her delivery more than actual vocal ability. You know, she relies on
Yeah.
sounding that like drugged out swoon, that longing. You know,
Yeah.
Starboy, like that can get kind of annoying, and I just
Well,
didn't.
it was only
fit.
like 2 minutes long.
It was, so it was just, it's kind of nitpicking, but
maybe
I'll
maybe
never
he
play
knew it was bad.
Yeah, no,
He
it's
didn't want to let her down.
yeah, you can have a song.
The
Interlude.
the next song after the Stargirl interlude, Sidewalks. Hakeem texted to me. I was at work and I knew the album had come out over Thanksgiving, and I hadn't had a chance to listen to it yet. And he sent me a screenshot of the Apple interface of him playing Sidewalks. So that was actually the first album, or the first song I listened to off the album in its entirety. Awesome track.
Yeah, and I also posted that on the HLH podcast Twitter. If you don't follow us, go follow us at HLHPO. Yeah, that's honestly, that's my favorite song. I told you I played that about 6 times when I first heard it.
I read through it on Rap Genius just to get a little more background of what they were talking about. And the metaphor of sidewalks, they were talking about how it doesn't matter if you're walking to your job at a Fortune 500 company or you're walking to a grave shift at a convenience store. The sidewalk doesn't realize where you're going. It just sees the effort you put in to get there. So I thought that was really cool. And both Kendrick and The Weeknd, whose real name is Abel, both of them were born into not the greatest circumstances.
Yeah.
The Weeknd was born in a bad part of Toronto. I know that sounds weird that there's a bad part of Toronto.
Dude, yeah.
I've never been to
definitely
Canada,
is.
so maybe they're violent up there. Eh?
I'm sure the way Drake sounds, he's savage.
And then Kendrick obviously was born in Compton. I think it's a top 10 of the most dangerous cities in the United States. So obviously that speaks volumes there.
Yeah.
So it did spoke volumes to the journey they've come to get to where they are now. So I thought that was really cool.
Yeah. It's such a great track, and I think not sometimes on this record I feel like the features could not outshine The Weeknd, but they're something that I favor more. Like, for example, Starboy. I don't like when I'm singing along to a song, which I do heavily.
Yeah.
I love songs that you can sing to in my car, in the shower, wherever I'm at. I don't want to call myself a Starboy. I don't want to call myself a Starboy. However, it's a great song, and I think Daft Punk does a phenomenal job on Starboy, and I think they do a very good job on the last track. I Feel It Coming, but that's an example of where I think I like the features a little more. I think they do a lot more than the song would have done by itself.
And well, Daft Punk too goes back to us talking about the image change and the sound change. They're more electronic EDM music, so that kind of took him down a different road than he's done in the past.
Right.
Kind of bringing in a different sound.
Yeah, right. Also, I think back to Sidewalks though. I like that song not only for Kendrick, but I think The Weeknd holds his own 100% on this song. Like he's not a rapper obviously, but the way rap has kind of changed now, where it's a lot more melodic. You have these R&B singers who will put out pretty lines. Yeah. But on this song, I thought, man, this is pretty dope. And I think he's also talking about his story, like you said.
When I saw that Kendrick was on it, I was like, okay, cool. I mean, if you're a Kendrick fan, you're always, oh, cool, Kendrick feature. Yeah. Because you don't hear, he's a perfectionist, doesn't put out a lot of albums until they're perfect in his view. Yeah. So when you see a Kendrick feature, you hop to it real quick, like, oh, I want to hear what he's doing. Yeah. So when he started and he said, say, I was like, okay, maybe that was just one line. And then he does it the next line, I was like, this is annoying. And then the third time I said, I really hope this is the last time. And then it's like he heard because he stopped. They only said it 3 times. But then, as I spoke to before, I read through it on Rap Genius. There's a video for Paul McCartney and Michael Jackson's song, Say. And this is from Rap Genius. It said that song depicts the lives of common con men traveling from street corner to street corner, hustling to stay alive. Yeah. And this, they even said it ties to the grinding for success theme that is Sidewalks. So I'm more understanding to the say. Mm-hmm. I did not. I thought it was annoying. But now it speaks. I understand that what they were going for, which I guess the motif of saying it over and over maybe got people to look it up. I don't know. Right.
I mean, I honestly, I can say I didn't look it up. But that's very, very good to know. I think it could have just been like Kendrick just. Sometimes he likes to do weird shit with his features, like on Goosebumps. That was a pretty odd feature.
Yeah, that was weird.
He kind of goes left, and I thought it was kind of fitting for this album. It's a Weeknd album, so I didn't necessarily delve as deep into lyrics as I did with the Common project when we reviewed it.
When you speak about lyrics, you asked me, and I didn't catch this before.
Mm-hmm.
The second and third line of Sidewalks, he says, "So nobody made me but the main streets. Because too many people think they made me. Well, if they made me, then replace me." Yeah. Hakeem thinks he's talking about Drake.
I think he's waving at Drake, kind of like
a little.
Hey, hello.
Yeah.
Like they're in the same neighborhood now. And if you haven't noticed, a lot of people Drake works with, he's like Sun Tzu or whatever his name is from freaking Mortal Kombat. He steals your soul and your heat. And then you're kind of never heard from again.
Yeah, I love McConan.
Yeah,
paid buku money with Tuesday. And what's the last thing you heard from I Love McConan?
I listened to the Drink More Water 5 mixtape, but that's because I like this sound. But nothing mainstream from him. Who else? Drake's got a few that he's done that with, but the people that have kind of stood up despite that, even Fetty Wap, we haven't heard anything much from him. He had a very hot 2015, but 2016 he put out a couple of singles.
I think he just put out a mixtape. I saw it this morning.
Yeah, and it's not gonna do numbers the way freaking his other album did. But yeah, I think Drake has that ability, and then the people who can stand up and take the Drake feature and do more with it. The only people I've seen do that are Future, and Future had a huge buzz by the time he was with Drake. The Migos, and they have a legendary trap sound. Like they've influenced music forever. And then The Weeknd. Those are really the only three that I think can really say, "Hey, I got a Drake feature and I'm still here."
Right.
And
I think that was cool. Obviously, The Weeknd and Drake found each other on The Weeknd's old sound.
Yeah.
And The Weeknd realized that he could keep that sound and make money, but he's developing as an artist and changing his sound, which is really cool.
I think another thing that's important about this album is it shows growth for The Weeknd. While it's definitely a more pop sound, it's a very 80s pop inspired, and even Michael Jackson.
Yeah.
I hear rampant. I think it shows that while The Weeknd definitely started that, or was early on that ethereal, dark R&B sound, he can do more, and he's definitely trying to do more with this album. Because this is like night and day between this and like Echoes of Silence or Thursday or House of Balloons. Like, there's still traces of it, but it's not that anymore.
And me personally, I was a fan of the trilogy collection. Yeah. That's where I discovered The Weeknd. When I heard it, I came back and played it, and I was listening to it somewhere in my house. My mom came up to me. This was 3 years ago. She came up to me. She was like, "Is that Michael Jackson?" She's like, "Is this a edit of Dirty Diana I've never heard?"
Wow.
And I was like, "No, that's The Weeknd." I said he's a pretty popular artist, and at the time, it was 3-4 years ago.
Yeah.
And we had heard of him, but nobody had really heard of him. He didn't have anything on the radio, so he was definitely not mainstream at that time.
Yeah. I think even now more so. I think if you played this to your mom now, she would definitely hear Michael Jackson on this. It's definitely a very cool album. I don't know how high the replay value is for me though.
Like I said, I was a fan of Trilogy, and I like this, and I think a lot of girls will like this album. A lot of girls like The Weeknd.
White girl turn up.
Yeah.
He definitely falls. That's kind of like I called Post Malone that a lot. I don't know who said that originally. I'm not going to take credit for that. It's definitely sometimes whenever I hear a song by big artists, I think, okay, they're making this song to play for their arena-sized concerts.
Yeah.
And with this album especially, I heard a few of those beats, especially on False Alarm and Party Monster, that like once they come on, they're huge, they're really EDM inspired, and they've got those like really infectious hooks that you just want to jump around to. So I think he definitely makes music for that demographic, and also all his topics. Like whenever I hear his music, sometimes when he's talking about a woman,
Yeah.
I imagine that like that girl who's been in the party, doing drugs or just like by this time of the night it's really late in the party and she just like tore up from the floor.
Yeah.
Like she's she's just really lit, and that's what I think the music's for. It gives you that vibe.
Yeah. And I would love to actually speak to him and ask how he feels about that, because on the song Reminder, it's the fourth song on the album, he's talking about his award for the Nickelodeon Kids' Choice Award.
Right.
That actually the lyric was, "I just won a new award for a kids show," talking about a face numbing off a bag of blow.
Yeah.
I'm like, goddamn bitch, I am not a teen choice. So I wonder if he likes the fact that young people like his music, but he is also talking like this isn't the stuff he's talking about isn't for kids.
Right.
I mean, the song that he was nominated for was "Can't Feel My Face," and it was talking about his love of cocaine.
Yeah. And that's another thing, like, that's all the music nowadays, though.
Yeah.
I think he's frustrated with that. I think it's kind of also because he won a minuscule award. I don't want to take away from it.
No.
I'm sure it's an accolade. Nonetheless, I'm not going to win one of those, that's for sure.
Was this featured at the Grammys? I watched it, but I don't remember.
I think he won a Grammy for Beauty Behind the Madness, I believe. Yeah, so, I mean, he definitely won a Grammy. I mean, he's a Grammy Award winner. But I could see his frustration with winning, like, a Teen Choice Award where, like he says, the message is not for kids.
I'm sure we've all seen the meme. It's the picture of Leo DiCaprio holding that. It was another, like, kids award, and he kind of looks like he's disappointed. We all remember, what's her name? Michaela, what is her last name? The Olympian from, like, the last, not this past Summer Olympics, but the one before. She won a silver medal, which is just amazing that anybody from our country could go and win that. And she kind of has this, like, sick, disgusted look on her face, which I can understand. But I'd like to ask him, like, what he thought about the age demographic that his music reaches, even if he's not writing it for that demographic.
And I think it's also important to know that even though he doesn't write for the demographic that pays attention to his music, his music reaches across a lot of different demographics.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like some of these songs I could play with my parents.
Well, I think he understands that, because a lot of the songs weren't explicit.
Yeah.
And I'm sure he wrote them that way to not have any suggestive content or any vulgar language.
Yeah,
purpose.
I didn't even realize that. I mean, there's only... I mean, he's got, like, 18 tracks on here. You've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Not even half.
Yeah.
Aren't considered explicit tracks. And I mean, while again, like the music still might be in that like drug fueled atmosphere, it's not as explicit as like the songs that have the explicit mark in there. Yeah, he's very talented. And I love the '80s inspiration that he's pulling from. I'm a huge fan of '80s pop, especially the instrumentals. And if you haven't heard, it's a genre. It's vaporwave. It's kind of a meme now. It was like kind of made fun of, but honestly, they use commercials from the '80s and make like
cool.
beats out of that. And I can hear hints of it on this album, and I think it's really cool what he's doing. And I think I told you this earlier. He'll pull different fans with this album, and this album is, to me, a little more accessible than the trilogy. I don't know if it's more accessible than Beauty Behind the Madness. I think Beauty Behind the Madness is a little more toned down. This one, again, is really fun. Yeah. I think it's as colorful as the cover, you know? It's cool to me in that sense.
I think referring to it as you can play it at a party is perfect, because it starts off with these heavy, like, make you want to get up and dance, and then they kind of slow down, and then it picks back up again. So it definitely is very diverse.
Just take out that interlude. Don't ever play that at a party, unless you want everyone to leave.
What is the? I think it's a Kanye song. He's like, "Please don't play this song." No, it's Kid Cudi. It's what is it?
Is it?
Yes, it's. I saw a man on the moon. He's talking about, "Please don't play this song." What is the name of the track?
The drug song. The drug song. Oh my God. I don't know.
We're going to put a link to the bottom of that.
Yeah, please.
But part of the hook, he's like, "Please don't play this song."
If you don't want to know what I sound like when I'm not on drugs, please don't play.
Okay, we're still going to put a link. But anyway, when we started this podcast, it was my like personal goal. Like I don't want to say anything like directly negative about somebody.
Right.
So I'm always going to try to be objective and find something good.
That's good.
The Weeknd, I don't think there's an R&B artist that can write better than him.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he wrote "Take Care."
Yeah.
Can we all like? I don't think a lot of people know that, but I know
yeah.
he wrote over 50% of "Take Care."
And has Drake won a Grammy since Take Care?
Not that I know of.
Crickets.
But
No.
Views is good, so I'm sure it will do something at the Grammys.
No, everything he's put out after that is good to me. I know you didn't like If You're Reading This Too Late. That's definitely a second favorite behind Take Care for me. I don't know why. I think it's just more rap, but that's not who we're
And it was a
talking
drastic change from the
Yeah.
album before. So, but anyway, he wrote "Take Care," which is
Right.
probably that's Drake essential. I think he won't. In my opinion, I don't think he'll top "Take Care" for me.
Right. I think the reason why you and I said Kissland is a pretty underwhelming album, that kind of makes sense in a way if you think about the timeline. He gave Drake over half of his album or what he had written at the time, and it was put into Take Care. And Take Care has some dope songs on there. Underground Kings is one of my favorite Drake songs ever. I don't know if he has writing credits on that one, but if he does, that alone is a testament to how much of a great writer Weeknd
I'll
is.
try to find the article, some kind of stats on the writing credits to put in the description at the bottom.
Yeah.
But I didn't know that for the longest time, and then Hakeem told me, this was years ago. Like, dude, did you know the Weeknd wrote "Take Care"? The majority of it, and I was like, wow.
Yeah.
And then we all heard about the scandal here recently where Drake doesn't write his music, so that just
And he's got
amplifies it more.
Party Next Door over there now, who's kind of his. They got DJ Academics calls it the OVO sweatshop. I don't think that's too far of
No, probably not.
of a comparison. Like that boy puts out so much music in a year. Come on, dude, album. He's about to put out another one, More Life.
Which he did just deny. He totally finessed everybody. Hinting that it was going to be out December 3rd, and then came out the other day and said, no, it won't actually be out December 3rd.
Oh, it's not?
No.
Oh, God, I'm so depressed. That's okay. At least Childish Gambino's
maybe by Christmas. So yeah, that really speaks to his writing ability.
Yeah.
This is not written in stone, but I would assume a lot of R&B artists don't write their music.
Yeah, I think
Not anymore, at least.
No, and also in pop music in general, pop artists like Taylor Swift doesn't write a lot of her music. A lot of those people have multiple writers in there, and I don't think he wrote everything on this. I'm sure he has help, but that's also why writing is not as important in those kind of genres like R&B, like pop, because it's not like if I wrote those lyrics, I could deliver them the same way Weeknd could.
Right.
I don't have that voice. So there's not as much of an emphasis on writing as there is in like hip hop, where if you have a good cadence and a good beat behind you, you can probably be pretty good at rapping. So yeah, I agree with you. I think he's an amazing writer, and also again, I like people who can pull influences and make them sound refreshing.
Right.
Like even though you can definitely hear Michael Jackson when you're listening to this, you're not going to say he's ripping off Michael Jackson. You're going to say, I like what he's doing with his voice and his inflections to make him reminiscent of Michael Jackson and bring it to this modern age. That's very cool to me. So
another thing I noticed about the album is it wasn't feature heavy. They really only had two notable features, was Kendrick and Future. I mean, the Daft Punk features, they're more in the production area, but everybody that uses them likes to put featuring Daft Punk so that can bring attention to them.
Which it did. It definitely did.
Yeah.
I like that too. And I think The Weeknd is a developed enough artist to where he can carry an album for that long.
And now the standard, which we've mentioned meme like 3 times, which is weird. But I know we've all seen the memes talking about how 2014 Forest Hills Drive went platinum with no features. Right. So I think that's kind of the standard right now in hip hop and R&B. People are wanting to say, I want to make an album just as good as that, where it just features me.
But then that's a challenge on the artist because, again, like I said, while this album has a lot of positives, it doesn't have as high a replay value to me as some of his older works. And there's not as many songs as I'm, like, hitting that replay button to.
Yeah.
Like, Sidewalks is really really good song, super strong. And there's no other song that's like terrible, but it's good to me. It's good. It's not great. But also I think what would have made it better is if he'd have just trimmed the fat a little bit. Like if he'd have made a more concise album, like instead of 18 tracks, 18 tracks is a bit brutal at some point. Like some of those songs drag on, like 4-minute tracks. I don't need 4-minute tracks. Like 3 minutes. You're doing a more pop sound. You don't need these long tracks. I understood it more when he was doing an ethereal sound, this like airiness, you know. I understand making the track longer then, but you don't need 4 and 5 minute tracks. This is over an hour, 68 minutes, I think.
Yeah, 68 minutes.
It's over an hour. Like that is kind of hard to do in one sitting.
Yeah,
like you're not gonna.
That's why we were looking at new stuff to review, and we saw the Tech 9 album, and it's like 24 tracks.
32.
Is it 32?
32. That's brutal. That's brutal. Yeah, and 2014 Forest Hill Drive is what, 14 tracks?
Yeah, and it was pretty short. Like the songs were around 250 to 310.
Right.
We need to stop mentioning that. I will sit here all day and talk about 2014 Forest Hills Drive. It was 64 minutes.
But it was, I mean, that's
13
long.
songs.
But 13 songs, and also, again, there's a bit more of a concept tying to it, I guess. It didn't feel as long. No. And also with rap, he was saying a lot.
Yeah, which I'll agree with. This is my opinion. I cared more about what J. Cole was saying than what The Weeknd is saying.
Yeah, I mean, The Weeknd's, like, I think the reason why I like Sidewalk so much is that is really where the first time he was, like, saying something pertaining to him directly, talking about how, like, you know, they can't remake me.
Yeah. I think the only other song that really struck me as lyrical on the album was 6 Feet Under, and he's talking about, this is in the news, it's very mainstream, talking about strong women, and he's talking about a woman that works in the club. She's obviously appealing to men to make her money, and he's not belittling her for that. He's talking about the power that she holds, and that she's going to make money until the day she dies. And that's what she does. That's what makes her powerful. And I like that he told a whole story about this lady in this song. I liked it a lot.
Yeah, that's really cool. And again, I think that's also a bit of service to his demographic.
Yeah.
You know, predominantly women listen to The Weeknd. Not not saying men don't, but the people who are going to be playing this in heavy rotation, I feel like are going to be majority women. Like my sister was. And my sister doesn't hardly listen to any music. Hey, Sophie, if you're listening, she was pumped about this album, and she and I played it in the car a little bit, and every song she's like bopping her head to it, and I'm trying to think about what I'm gonna say for this review. So I was listening with more of a critical ear. Where is the verse where he says the low main?
I think it's the
that
third
is
song.
So cringy. That is so cringy. That is worse than when Drake said dim sum, talking about lights. That was so cringy. I'm tired of that. Like why? Like mention a ethnicity and then just a stereotype. She go low main. Like really? Like was it that dope that you had to repeat it like 3 or 4 times?
I think it's Reminder. I'm gonna look right now.
Yeah, it is Reminder.
It is.
It is Reminder, and it was reminding me about how terrible that lyric was. So many times. But again, like I have small nitpicks with this album. But that low main line is just so creepy.
I'm trying to find some like more context, so if the listeners haven't heard it, they'll know what we're talking about.
Right. I mean, he says it's pretty. He does a beat drop after that, like it was some hot shit. Like she go low main.
Okay, this is what he said. He said, got a sweet Asian chick, she go low main. And the way it is spelled on Rap Genius, I don't know if they collaborate with these artists.
Lowmane.
Yes.
That's what it's implied, but it's a double entendre there.
Right.
Where he's also talking about the food with an Asian chick, and it was cringy as hell. And I don't want to hear it.
It was.
But that was a great beat though. And
it was.
And for some reason, I like. Maybe this is more about us liking the older Weeknd sound a little bit more. Well, that's what we gravitated to first. Those tracks where it's not as EDM heavy or like 80s pop, I like those tracks a lot. What was another?
I like the heavy. Like I was telling Hakeem before we started. I said I'd honestly rather hear a Weeknd Future collaboration than a Future Drake collaboration. What was the song on Evil with him?
With the Weeknd,
Yes,
Low Life.
Low Life. That song was awesome. The beat was heavy. The Weeknd came in and the beat still stayed heavy.
Right.
And I liked that when I heard this, I was like, okay, he's gonna kind of stick with that same sound that he had with Future, and he did for the most part on some of the heavier tracks, but it wasn't throughout the whole album.
What do you think of their collaboration on here? Because they also did a track together.
I like the little. It's not really a sample. Future's not featured on the song 6 Feet Under, but I like that one better than All I Know.
Okay.
I don't know. I thought the Future verse was kind of underwhelming. I don't know. It was
Future can only talk about so much.
Yeah.
You know, mainly.
It wasn't bad. He just, I don't know. And the way that the production blended the sounds, I was kind of hoping they would make it kind of sound like a Weeknd song, but it just sounded like another Future song or a Future song. So it wasn't bad though.
Future's sound. This is a testament to Future. Future's sound is very hard to not put in the forefront.
Yeah.
Future's so dope. And he's got that sound that's really infectious. Like, I think Future's another person where his music, despite it having kind of negative messages, will reach multiple demographics.
Yeah. Because
that sound is so catchy. Even on What a Time to Be Alive, you have Drake, king of pop right now, arguably. He's the king of pop, okay? Fuck Taylor Swift. He's the king of pop right now. And he kind of gravitated more towards a Future sound.
Yeah.
He was definitely sounding like Ontario Future.
Yeah.
It was Future featuring Ontario Future. Like, that's how it sounded.
Which a friend of mine and I were talking
Toronto,
at work today about Future. We're like, he's like, I don't really like Future. I said, but you have to admit, like, his sound is, like Hakeem said, it's infectious.
Yeah.
And when you hear a Future song, you know that it's Future.
Yeah. Dirty Sprite.
We're not going to talk about Designer. You know that it's Future when you hear a Future song. Don't try that. But I told him, I said he could quit and never make another album again and live off of features because everybody wants him.
Yeah. And let's not forget, Designer, yeah, he trolls Future and tries to sound like him, but without him putting his ad-libs in there, it's playing all throughout the song because he's like, hey, this is Designer, remember?
Yeah.
That's his subconscious way of saying, like, this is Designer, not Future, because everybody knows you sound like Future, and I think he knows that too. Again, I think he plays it up sometimes.
Yeah.
Like, but he has to put those little ad-libs in there, like, to remind himself that, so... But yeah, Future's dope, and I do like Low Life a lot more than the song on here. But I would definitely listen to a collaborative project with them. But I like What a Time to Be Alive, especially when I'm in the gym. Love playing that song. Digital Dash is
Every album has its
great
place.
song. Yeah, for sure.
Like we said, this is a good party album.
Yeah. And I think the features minus Lana Del Rey definitely speak to that. I'm not trying to trash her again. I wasn't trying to trash her again. I'm saying, like, Daft Punk is more like EDM.
Yeah, and they're more on the
Future's
production
turn up
side.
trap. Like, yeah. So that's what I meant. I like Lana Del Rey. Just
I get it.
screw that in.
I get it.
All right, so let's go and Jake, tell me your top 4 or 5 favorite tracks if you have them.
All right, 6 Feet Under. I've mentioned that one already.
Yeah.
Sidewalks, obviously. We've mentioned that song a lot. True Colors was pretty cool. And that was another one that was not explicit, which I thought this was cool. The songs that are not explicit, I know some artists use those as their singles so they can be put out on the radio and not have to stifle their creativity and make changes just so it can be played for children.
Yeah. But before you go on, I'm sorry to interrupt. When I looked, Bruno Mars put out a new album, 24 Karat.
Can we talk about that at the end?
Yeah,
because that was gonna be my hidden hit.
No, I'm not gonna try to spoil the music. I was just saying the reviews on the album though on iTunes. I mean, iTunes is not an indicator of whether or not people like it, but like I read about 12 or 13 reviews. All of them were like, why is he swearing so much in this album? Like,
I did see
people really didn't like that, and I never really think about it because we listen to rap all the time. Like that cussing nothing to us, but you're right. Like. Again, that can pull in a bigger demographic of people. So
True Colors. So I've mentioned 6 Feet Under, Sidewalks, True Colors. I think the 2 of the 3 singles, Starboy and Party Monster. I really like those.
Yeah.
Let's do what I've got 2 left.
Yeah.
One left.
One left. You got 4.
I guess I'm gonna go with All I Know. It's got the Future feature.
You sure you don't want to include the interlude?
Shut up. Oh, I will never listen to Lana Del Rey again.
Jesus.
No, so I would probably say the last one's All I Know. It was a good song. I guess when I went into thinking about Low Life, I was kind of comparing it to that, which is unfair.
Yeah.
But that's how I viewed it.
Did you have least favorite tracks? You have any?
Apparently yours was the Lana Del Rey track. I like it was all good. I didn't really hate anything. Like I said, the only thing I really just didn't care for was the hook on False Alarm.
Okay.
Now that would have been cool with the feature. Like if he could have got like a rock star, that would have been cool with them doing the hook, doing False Alarm. It's more their arena of music. But yeah, that's the only thing I can say I didn't care for.
Okay. I got False Alarm is one of mine. That's one of my favorite tracks. I think for that one, again, there's a bit of a story there. There's a bit of a narrative talking about this beautiful girl at the party who's kind of super promiscuous, giving you those devil eyes. Like, I like what... he was painting a picture in my head, and I really like listening to that track. Starboy, again, mostly because of Daft Punk. Like, they also did the first track on Yeezus, which is another great beat by them. Their production is out of this world. Sidewalks, that's a dope track. I think we talked about it enough. And believe it or not, reminder, despite the Lo Mein reference, I can't deny how much I like that understated sound when he just goes a little more low key. I love that. Least favorite tracks, Stargirl interlude, and Rockin'. That just sounded too generic to me.
That could have been one of the cutting out the fat, as you said.
Yeah.
That could have been one that you probably could have pulled away and not lost a lot of feel.
It wasn't really memorable to me, and again, he had other songs where he did that better, like Party Animal and False Alarm, Party Monster, and False Alarm. It had the same kind of vibe where it was trying to, but it did it in a really generic and just kind of boring way. Like, not something I'll go back to for sure.
All right.
Yeah,
it was a decent album. I'll give it like a 75 to 80 for sure.
And I would give it like a 7 out of 10. I was gonna say definitely like above average, fun record, and one of the better neo R&B releases.
Yeah. Well, and this is like a more hip hop channel, so I'm sure that if somebody that really listened to R&B and pop more than we do, they're gonna pick up on some things that we missed and may review it at a higher standard. But I know for both of us, we lean more towards the hip hop.
Yeah. It's called Hooks, Lines, and Hip Hop. Like, I love the hooks on this, for sure.
Definitely.
And again, this is just our opinion. Music is very subjective. Whoever's listening could definitely have a different thought on this album.
Yes, definitely.
7 out of 10 is not bad. High 70s. That's an above average album because there's been definitely some trash that's been put out this year that we're not going to talk about. So, great effort from The Weeknd, and this will definitely hold me over until Gambino's new album comes out. Speaking of which, it's time for the hidden hits.
Yes.
Jake, what you got?
It worked today. I was listening to a lot of music, and I was trying to think, like, what do I want to talk about in the hidden hits today?
Mm-hmm.
So I think I'm going to go, we mentioned it earlier, with the Bruno Mars album.
Yeah.
I knew we put it out. We all heard 24 Karat Magic.
Yeah.
Earlier on. It came out midway through the year this year.
Mm-hmm.
We all heard that, and I was like, oh, this is cool. And then when I didn't even know that album came out. I'm not a huge Bruno Mars fan.
Right.
I love the album. It's very reminiscent of like 90s, really 70s through 90s pop and funk and disco music. He sounds a lot like James Brown on some of that. I love it. Which, I can be honest, I did not like Bruno Mars until Uptown Funk.
Really?
He just kind of sounded generic pop-esque. And then Uptown Funk came out, and I was like, it's different, but he's like finding his niche, which I thought was cool. Which, I mean, it was super mainstream, was way overplayed, but I think it's a cool song.
Okay.
Because he can reach, like, my parents love that song.
Oh, yeah.
And I don't know, he reaches an older demographic and some of the younger demographic. And I mentioned this last week. At some point, I like that he's keeping old music alive by kind of emulating it in a way.
Yeah. But
So
again, he puts his twist on it.
Yeah.
Same thing like Weeknd does on this album. He's definitely got Michael Jackson-esque moments, but
Yeah.
it's not enough to say he's ripping off. Bruno Mars even more so, I think, than The Weeknd. So I haven't
I'm
listened.
going to go with that one.
Do you have a specific track on there that you think you would play more than the
I
other?
like Versace on the Floor.
Versace on the Floor. Okay. All right.
That's some baby making music there. But yeah, no, I really like that one. That and Perm. Perm was pretty cool.
I haven't listened to it. I'll definitely
need to listen to
check
it.
out. Okay.
I'll put a link to in the bottom for everybody.
Yeah. My hidden hit. It's not really hidden. I'm sorry. I like very popular shit sometimes. Me and Your Mama by Childish Gambino. Good Lord, man. Like, I don't know what he's gonna do on this album. But first of all, he's got this mad like pedo stash rocking, which
Yeah.
I'm loving. I'm loving that right now. No shade at Gambino because I've been a fan of him since camp. Like we listened to that in high school, man. Which from camp to now is night and day.
Every album is different too. That's what I think is awesome.
Most definitely, and that's what's amazing about people like him, like Kanye. They're creatives. And they're always going to push their sound forward. Whether you like it or not, whether he picks up new fans or not, it's him. It's him. Again, just like Kanye. And yeah, Me and Your Mama, amazing track. The intro's a little bit long, but I like it. I know some people have said that they just like flat out skip it. It's like the first 90 seconds.
You know, him and Chance are kind of close. I know they're friends.
Yeah.
They both have a tendency to have long intros.
That's another collaboration album that will never come out,
No.
but definitely should because they talked about it a couple times. But yeah, man, Me and Your Mama, check it out. Versace on the Floor, check it out.
We're going to talk about some stuff that we may be doing here in the near future. Yeah. I know we both talked about towards the end of the year we're going to list our top 10 albums, and that'll be a full podcast segment of our top 10 albums personally for the year and why we thought they deserve a spot there. Yeah. Some albums that we talked about reviewing. Post Malone is coming out. I know a lot of people are like, oh, he sucks. But like I said earlier, we're going to be objective.
He is White Girl Turn Up.
That
but
is true.
I like some of the singles on there. Deja Vu with Bieber. Justin Bieber, man, is a little... no, he's got moments.
I will be honest. Me and my wife were putting up our Christmas tree, and I absolutely hate mainstream Christmas music. Like the Charlie Brown Christmas song makes me want to like go on a shooting spree. So we put on, I think it was like the Temptations Holiday. Ooh. So it's a lot of, for lack of a better term, it's a lot of black artists.
Yeah.
And Justin Bieber is obviously not black, but it was like early Justin Bieber. I said, "Is that Justin Bieber?" And I was like, "Yeah, that's Justin Bieber."
Yeah.
I said, "This sucks." I'm thinking this is trash. But then it made me appreciate like how far he's come and how his voice has developed. I think I'll be honest, the first time I really respected Justin Bieber was when he was hanging out with Diddy. I was like, if Diddy can respect this dude, the richest rapper in the world can respect Justin Bieber, I can respect Justin Bieber. So, I know, he's dope.
Yeah. I think, again, he's another person. He can live off collaborations. Like, he did a song with Chance the Rapper. Chance the Rapper was the feature.
Juke Jam. That's probably one of my favorite songs.
Then he's done two because he did another one that was actually on his album there, where Chance was the feature. Right. Worth It or something. Yeah, I forgot the name of it. Very, very dope song.
And I will say this about Post Malone: with me recording music, singing and rapping with autotune is not as easy as you think. Yeah. I know some of us have probably downloaded that I Am T-Pain app and think, oh, people that use autotune rap is not good. It's the same. It sounds the same. It's actually hard. Mm-hmm. And the way you find your sound and your niche using autotune is very difficult. Mm-hmm. So I will speak to that. And I 100% disagree with the autotune rap is easy. It may be overused, but it's definitely not easy.
Yeah. And another thing that if you don't know about Post Malone is his sound wasn't always in hip hop. It just so happened that Too Young and White Iverson really blew up for him.
Yeah.
But he's got more of his roots in country.
Yeah, he talked about that in the Breakfast Club. I think.
Right. Breakfast Club and Hot 97. He's done a lot of interviews. Well, he's done 2 interviews. But yeah, well, I mean, while some of you will call him kind of a culture vulture or somebody who's not authentically hip hop, he's trying to do this thing where he's making music and he's fusing sounds together that maybe don't always sound great together. There's a song on that album, and I'm not going to spoil it because I want to save it for the review, where there's this like kind of more country sounding guitar. It's dope, and I'm looking forward to hearing what it has.
We'll be objective, and if it's bad, we'll say it's bad. We're not gonna
rip it a new one.
Yeah,
just like I did Lana.
Still on that. So we're constantly texting back and forth, talking about new things we're gonna be doing. So I think that's all we had.
Yeah, and if you guys have any suggestions of albums that maybe we haven't catched or a little more underground, please tweet us at HLHPO. That's HLHPO. Jake and I both run that Twitter. So, yeah, man. Thank you guys for listening, and we hope you guys enjoyed this episode. Peace.